to today in the kingdom.
Yeah, mamu nyina akɔ about today in the kingdom, and then so yasaba be share. Yeah, last week, you discussed about our introductions and our backgrounds, especially the panelists at what Jumedi so and what they're looking forward to discuss. Inti eneno yasaba biem at the second episode. Bremo. This episode is focused more on church split. Nintia Church of Christ and our Christo asafo no yɛtɛ ho divisions ɛne sɛ asɔre awae anaa asɔre apaapae emu apae na we ate ne ho akɔte foforɔ ne saa deɛ no. The reason why we usually encounter those problems, nti ɛnɛ so introduce my panelists. Our first panelist ne bɛyɛ yɛnua Frederick. Mefa Frederick Emra stage no so. Fred, ube unmute ho na wase bibi kakra.
Uh, Thank you for having us, Walter. I appreciate this program. Like I said last episode, I'm looking forward to the discussions and to hear what my other panelists have to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's it. All right. The next person I know was joining in for the first time, Winifred. May I do Winifred? And so now I know so about Winnie. Yamuakwaba.
Yeah.
Last week, now Winnie, I think that we asked the panelists, like a brief background, maybe are we free? Sorry, worship and what you're looking forward the most to talk about on the podcast. I don't know. So obey that introduction. I'm or more last week or more who etimi and background kakra.
Okay. Meda to say menya akwenye yi sɛ me nso membɛka podcast wei ho. Nti yɛwɔ me nyini ɛwɔ Bomso Church of Christ.
Okay.
Nti no sɛ meka pa Bomso Church of Christ ɛne North Bronx ɛne Church of Christ mmienu a makɔ akyɛ paa.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what are you looking forward to the most with this podcast? Like, Devena Ushima, you are most excited about to be a part of?
I am most excited about this opportunity that has brought several a few of the youth the youth of the church, and the fact that we can bring all our ideas and different opinions to help in the growth of the church.
Okay.
Yeah. At the end of the day, to bring growth to the church, but also to express our views on some of the things that as youth we want to be heard about.
All right, sounds good. The next person, me bringing it back on stage. Hey, Yenya Seth. Yenya Seth. Yemo akwa baba fidie so.
That's it.
Last week, brother Seth and I okay home. We discussed. We introduced ourselves and what we're most excited about with regards to the podcast. And to brother Seth, I think that we already know who he is. And last but not the least, and there I think that Stephen and to me I'm a home and Eben and Isaac or more to me I'm a home because of Ubia busy, Ubia on a different schedule until there will be times and you don't be bad times and you don't be intimate but Daniel will be the next to join on the stage. Daniel Akwaba.
The living legends.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, there will be asked to say, and then there's yet to me and Yamu you be Casafa topic a dapulation.
Okay.
What as I say, we created this platform at least a bit me up Wama. Ibit me a shape said the last week near can. More money able to pay. I was ceremony. You may do I bit me. I share ideas. I bit me a boy, sorry, no man, a cost. If you bit it, bi no ho a ohu yɛ sɛ bi a yɛyɛ wei a ɛbɛma ɔno nso n'ani agye sɛ ɔwɔ Kristo asafo no. Kakra me wɔ kan.
Yeah, that's it. As anybody can see, yeah, and that topic, we're gonna talk about church divisions. Say Christo, sorry, no. Yeah, tate say sorry we more pie, sorry we attend one quarter for. We say like we hear that a lot, and a idea you say you discuss it. Say a idea abafofro, and I say idea has always been a part of the church. A idea Christo neni jehon, and I say Christo neni jehon. And that topic, that is what we're gonna discuss. My first question to the panelists, and whoever that is ready can talk about it. What are some of the reasons why churches experience divisions in your own experience, as a Church of Christ? Quite bear so, and I'm rebelling then a toda kofasa a sorry moon papa moon, and I said sa split see at the bad Church of Christ.
I think say sometimes splits they happen because the leaders, it's about the leaders. It has nothing to do about doctrines or something scriptural. Sometimes I would say that they become too engrossed in what they bring to the church and what they're about, and not about specifically about what the Bible is saying. Because say my Bible no precede yankasa home as leaders cry. Say there is no way that like yes to esido sorry no anything or stressing about unity because there's nothing that should have to cause a church to split. But for us to get to a point where the church has to split, it means that maybe Yamfa Bible no too serious. Like we put in too much of ourselves, like your ego, any your feelings, and what contribution they brought to the church, and not like what the Bible is saying. Senkai leaders no, and I said senkai you put your home aside that. Not say my Bible no the overall authority. And I feel like in pimping and splits do over, it shouldn't happen.
Okay. So not necessarily say every split, it's not based on doctrine, based on what you're saying, but most of them, it has nothing to do with even doctrine. And then and they are thinking about is mostly say me imagine and I
exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's it. All right. Before for or no so channel drink or sa idea with whoever that is ready can talk. Bra Seth, we're ready.
Okay. Church division. Me I'm a fancy. But there, like from what I've seen, it's just a misunderstanding between like the leadership.
Right.
One that I saw where I was baptized, even now me knew then met there. Different, like the same Church of Christ, but the same town, but in a different location. So maybe saying that what was the reason? And the reason that wasn't man was like no kaka assembly and others even wasn't biblical. As some of wasn't even part of the Bible. It was during a general even worship in the sight of God, like I think they rate him higher than the president. and other, like some of those comments, and people get upset, and because of that, and all our personal issues in tea. What you want when
wait, that also for no air compare and who say like
no, also in the sight of God, no, like he was just giving an example there. Now what the president to crowd by, he might in the sight of God no be say acting the president, you get what it was. And then I think people already have their own issues. Right. Politics, you get the whole thing. Then, and when I heard that, I'm like, is that all? Another, there was something beneath it.
Exactly.
Because if this is the only thing, no, but then I don't get it. Personally, I've not really understood why people like split from churches. Because that church, the American one, the caliber of people who went in there, no, people are like in the congregation, where BB, something happened and then they left. They did something and then they left. They are the same people. No question was that congregation or whatsoever. So I was like, the monk of me, and they forgive because this something happened. He was unable to forgive, then he left. Then they said it, blah blah. He left. He left. So like the caliber of people who joined that congregation, I'm like, whoa, that's one. But it has nothing to do with doctrine. That's the whole thing,
right?
And so they are following everything,
right?
Like what the Bible is saying. But for you to go away because of something somebody said, because of something somebody did, that is one thing I've seen. Because churches are was split, it be like another one I'm saying. They are getting, let's say, those of us in maybe this area of Bronx, Boston, maybe the church was meeting in Manhattan, so they wanted the Manhattan church to offend and give them a branch at that location, like this area, and they were playing. Then Aluta continua, they all left. You get the whole thing. So it's like the reasons me for 2 or 3 AMM that we're feminine now. It's not really based on their offend. Then the church maybe on Sunday lost up and walk or what was the vin to another people what they know. Another one cover agege bread no they know. They don't give collection twice. It's only once they give collection. They give sermon, they sing, no instruments. They do everything like pepper in the Bible, but still people split. So as Winnie said, no, sometimes it's just individual a big was it Brendan? Was it them?
Okay, all right, yeah, that's it. I think that Nebra said thinking you understand or no, based on his experience, the splits I encountered, it had nothing to do with doctrine. And as you can see, I think that Stephen is joining us right now. You remember Stephen Akwaba. As you can see, it wasn't based on doctrine. It was just set so for the kind, because when you say ma, it was because so didn't want compare say a president, you can clearly see that there was some friction between or software and those kind of people, and then they just made that as a reason to start a new church. Daniel and Alfred, whoever that's ready to give the reasons why our churches split, move it to me, Akasa.
Okay. I guess I'll go.
All right.
I think that me, Mumbi, I really have 2 things that I think that happens, and that's what causes the split in the church. And the first thing is the Gewinikayan, which is carnality, like people sticking to the flesh. Said it, sometimes we already have this this idea more. We are waiting for the opportunity. We are waiting for the opportunity.
They can crawl with you. Obey, so there.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that church split Yeah, and yet carnality nko. Yes, I know your factor. But we both say sorry mu better pa usually sometimes individual preferences be our nipa nkofo bi pɛ ɛne ɛtɔ da nso so a deɛ sɔfo no pɛ sɛ asɔre no kɔ no ebi asɔre no ma no ɛnte n'ase wate aseɛ.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a chance to experience church splitting, you know. I know what I'm talking about in terms of what I witnessed, you know. And there might be all the more out say Kosovo, sorry, no more answer, na sorry, no more better, you know. There are people underground that are more near ma a bed dead, you know. Na we are here and ye never say sorry, no more split. Okay. The minimum say asɔre wɔ hɔnom na split bɛba it could be good, it could be bad. Sometimes we ho hwee a ɛnyɛ yɛ wɔ sɛ asɔre no mu split na wɔn a wɔn feel sɛ wɔn bɛtumi akɔyɛ deɛ Nyankopɔn ɛbɛsɔ n'ani no wɔn kɔ na wɔn kɔyɛ. Sɛ asɔre na ɛte hɔ no nso so ɛna feel sɛ wɔn a wɔn firi akɔ no nso so sɛ wɔn nyɛ no wɔn bɛfiri akɔ a ɛma asɔre no nso ho dwo no. Because all the same no your personality ɛwɔ Nyankopɔn asɔre no mu obi ba na ɔtena asɔre no mu a na ɔbɛha preacher adwen ɔbɛtete asɔre mpanimfoɔ ka hwee kyerɛ no anyɛ yie na ɔbɛfiri akɔ a ɔnyɛ obi ne kuma ntwi but at the same time so yɛma sɛ a group of people bi wɔ asɔre no mu na ɔmo sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ ha yi no ɛmmoa ɛmma yɛsom ɛnkɔ so sɛdeɛ Nyankopɔn pɛ sɛ yɛsom ɛyɛ no ntwa yi a na ɔmbɛtumi afiri akɔ akɔyɛ deɛ Nyankopɔn paa sɛ bɛyɛ no Nyankopɔn bɛsɛe asɔre korɔ no a ɔnsɛe wɔn mfra wɔn aka ne nti no for the sake of time mɛka sɛ ɛbɛboa sɛ saa nkurɔfoɔ no bɛfiri akɔ na makɔyɛ deɛ Nyankopɔn ɛpɛ.
Okay. All right, Fred, why are you ready? With me.
Okay. Sorry before. No. Yeah, but the point that I'm making is that something for those who say doctrine, yeah, down below, you see say is their personal and I say BBA they really want in life, which is kana, and they would just hide behind doctrine. And to say, for example, Ghana, most of our preachers are pushing for all these headquarters and whatnot just because they want to be recognized by the world that they live in. So they will start preaching certain doctrine, and the goal of the doctrine is to satisfy their own flesh, and that's why I was aiming towards the flesh. Because even 1 Samuel chapter 8, when Samuel was old, and that was the era not Israelites were by judges now. So when Samuel was old and it was time for his sons to take over, and they started taking bribes and whatnot, the first thing Israelites asked from Samuel were like, okay, now you have a leader who is corrupt or who is taking bribes and whatnot. In my own understanding, you would have asked for like a new leader or what's the way for it. But right away they say, give us a king. So why would they ask for a king? It's something they've seen in the world. They really want it so bad. And then they wait for the opportunity. So we split our church. We are talking about, it's something really minor. We are looking at what is happening now rather than what has happened before. Things really happened before, and we let go. So when something is happening, it will be because it's just the color of paint. No, it's not just the color of paint. It's something that happened years ago, months ago, and we refuse to address that. And as I say, BB to say, idea what idea me train na dan asembeban. So enya atsem na abano is what he did to me in the past, and that's exactly what it is. Like among for would get obubi woni mu an ani gye ho ntie mfa nso esensan opanoma would mu no dia showdin. So he's waiting for the opportunity, and also for maybe our boy here. So he's waiting for the opportunity to satisfy their own their own flesh, and I said their own more economy. I don't know. So that's one big thing I was driving at. And the thing that I also maybe are going for the back once, and I feel like the leadership that we have, there's something going on in the church right now that we talk about. Say, especially when we are appointing elders and leaders in the church, we have have ignored certain things that qualifications now. When you go to the book Timothy and other chapters now, all give you the qualifications of leadership. Yeah, I don't know. About amateur nipa be 3 or more honum. Oh, yes, I did this year for far both one and leaders. But these are qualifications that was not given by me or you. It was given by God. This is how He wanted to be done. This is the kind of people that He wants in our leadership position. So if I know I'm not qualified to be that, right. So that's because, for example, when you go and there's the first qualification, okay, is you kind of say not all about teaching now. Be able to teach near dinner. You know why? Because the audios that you sent to the group recently, if you have leaders or elders who are able to teach, you will not have this kind of teachings coming from a preacher in the congregation. Because in the way, and even in the Bible, you, the leaders or elders, wanna move church in a way like, yes, the preacher is preaching in one of the say if that doctrine be banned, not necessarily so which that you elders now leaders no, you are responsible to stop it right then and there. Now in the church, when selecting the leaders and the elders, you focus on one good thing they have, and we forgot like about 5 or 6 things that they don't qualify. And just because he come every Sunday and Wednesday, just because he can do this, that, and third, then we forget about the rest of the qualifications that the Bible is talking about. And it goes back to hunters, because then in the end, so when you be obey me a share or being him say be or being madam for we started day one, but that's the kind of issues that we start having. So it's a lot, you bit me over and over, but it's a lot of things that bring split or division in the church. But for me, I feel like most of it is for our own good. They do it for their own benefit or for their own good. No idea behind it.
All right, Stephen, what do you think are some of the reasons why churches split in your own experience?
Yeah, can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, awesome. Sorry for joining late, but I'm sure the discussion has been going very well. But I think it really all boils down to, at the end of the day, God, Jesus, like He knows that we're human. And the reason why I think Jesus died for our sins is because as humans, we do human nature things. And there's just certain things that we do that aren't really good, which is why we always continuously have to beg for forgiveness, which is why we always have the opportunity to take Lord's Supper, to pray, and to try to get better. And when it comes to like human nature, boiling in, it really kind of boils down to, the leadership. We've heard it so many times before, the devil attacks those who like are leading the church or so on and so forth, because he knows that people are looking up to those people. Therefore, he's going to try to do something so that, something happens between the leaders, and then boom, it falls down to the congregation. And now like nobody knows exactly what to do. I think one of the traits that I feel like really encourages division and kind of confusion in the church is like when we can see pride seeping through the leaders, like the need to be right, or the need to be able to call out somebody and not somebody calling them out, or like, I'm a leader, therefore I don't really do nothing wrong, but I can call out some other people. But then when it's done to them, they feel some type of way. I was at this show this one time. I think it was like a comedy show. We had to go for work, and he told a very good joke. But every joke, there's like some truth to it.
Exactly.
For instance, like I think he was in a room and he misspoke and said, something about the wrong, like something happened. He mentioned the wrong year, and then somebody was like, "No, it happened in 1962." And he was like, "Oh, I bet you feel good correcting me, right?" You know what I'm saying? It's like people feel good. It's like, oh yeah, look, I said the right quotation, I said the right verse, so I was able to do this. And then it's like, okay, it's like, is that really, as Christians, should we really feel good? Or is like, it's some type of, I don't know how to explain it, some type of human trait that's really not good. And when you see that in your leaders, like when you see a preacher or a pastor or an elder or a leader kind of have that pride, and it's like they have to be right, or they're right that, or they seem as if like they feel good when they talk down on somebody. That's not really good, especially when it's between two leaders as well. Exactly. So I think prideness is one, and then two, I don't think this is just the Ghanaian culture. I think this is everybody. I think as leaders, or even sometimes the congregational, sometimes what causes division is that we don't really take the time to, like, Fred was kind of pointing on it as well. EQ is really important. Emotional intelligence is really important. Yeah. And I think as a leader, or as an elder, or even a church member, we need to take our time to understand the opposition. I don't know if opposition is like the right word, but we need to take the time to understand one another. You know, a lot of people say, okay, communication works and patience works, but if you're hearing somebody talk, you're not really seeking to understand a person, you're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And because one side maybe doesn't understand the other side, it causes division, it causes confusion, because one side isn't seeking to understand the other side, and they just want to say their point, and they just want to say their point. Nothing is ever going to be solved. So I think because we don't really take the time to understand one another, we don't take the time to understand ourselves, we don't take the time to understand that it isn't, like Fred would say, it isn't just about showing up weekly or every service. It isn't just about knowing all the verses, but it's really about understanding your congregation, understanding who you're working with, and understanding your purpose as a leader, or as a purpose, or as a person in the Church of Christ. I think that's something that's really, really missing. I think that's one of the biggest causes as why we have division and confusion in the church.
All righty, thank you. I think everybody expressed their opinions on why, the reasons why we have a lot of splits in the church. I want us to take a look at Romans chapter 16, verse 17. I know Churches of Christ, we mostly focus on Romans 16:16. Salute one another with a holy kiss. The Churches of Christ salute you. But right underneath that, it says, now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. Idea by kwame you focus on is divisions contrary to the doctrine and avoiding them. So most of the time, you know, I see that like a lot of people are like focused on, you know, the whole avoid them, no. So the people that are splitting from the church can pose as say omuna avoided the people bringing about false doctrine, and then the people who are still there or didn't leave, you know, almost see themselves as the people are omono aye asplete. They're the ones causing the division, so they're also avoiding them. But I want us to, like, you know, delve more into this particular verse. Say, like, how do we understand it? Obeying, I'm gonna throw that question to you. Say the whole verse 17, you know, how should we as Christians take it? Who is the one causing the division? What are some of the things that causes divisions in your experience? And what does the term avoiding them mean? So because it division, avoiding them, that doesn't mean going on to start a new congregation. Doesn't mean avoiding them as in like stop going to the church and just stay home. What does that mean? Obey.
Baby.
You're on mute.
I think I'm
on mute too.
I don't know if I can hear, but I believe you put us. I mean, you can hear us. I think we'll have to backstage or something.
No, I muted him. Me and me muted him. Yeah, I can
hear you. What's your
okay? Yeah, we'll be out too, Bianca. Yeah. All right, Daniel.
All right. Said another kasano, like split. You bet me in a positive way, and also in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back in the Old Testament, you ever split the bar between Esau and Jacob. At that time, no, the tension that was there needed to be a split. This is what I always say. At the end of the day, no, Yakupon Emma Nipa Arefie, and if you have a good heart, and I say, "Who saying na ye pet adeno the goodness of it, and I ye pet I didn't hear you are." Once with time, no, definitely that friction and that tension, no, will go down. Mm-hmm. What did they mention? I say, yeah. Now, when you come to Romans chapter 16, verse 17, here it's talking about division. ebeba ebema asɔre no ayɛ pure said in Yankopon epeno, because or say he was talking about doctrine. In the I'll say, now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine. In the hey no, Yankopon doctrine whom he no, and what can was him say. So be attack doctrine. So be can't be a ebema assuring the city is in him no ebe say yes. Uncle for no, we should mark them, we should stay away from them. It is a minority assuring mu na ade a Nyankopon aka sɛ kwasi ada ne yenyi ntoboa na ene na bi de ba sɛ well yeyi ntoboa Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday kura bɔne a we should mark those people, we should stay away from them. Why? Because the ɔde ba mu no ebe sɛ Nyankopon asɛm a waka ɛyɛ ne doctrine enti ubisa say marking them no marking them no say no, we shouldn't have anything to do with them.
Okay.
I think that 1 Corinthians chapter 1 no, verse 10 echo down no, not Paul can be said your uncofo bi wo no mo a omo wa sorry no mo a omo be ha sorry na drink na ono sankofo no ono omo edi akon esan se omo nim no kura no omo boa pa edi nsɛmfo but senka obi a wa abonten a sankofo no ye no omo edi nkomo reason se be na ye betwe omo ba sorry nim enti wo mo a Paul come ho asɛm Romans chapter 16 verse 17 han omo a ye no omo ti asori nim omo nim the traditions, the doctrine of the church, but one way or the other no on some na ru omo mu and omo person omo say asori no. To those people we have to mark, those people we have to stay away from them. Sebe na Nyankopon asori no ebe pure.
Okay. Winifred, I'm gonna put you on the spotlight. What is your understanding on Romans 16?
Sorry. Hello?
Okay. Yeah. Obeying submissions, but he was just explaining Romans chapter 16, verse 18. Winnie, who's that initially in Okasani, you said there was a lot of ego clashes, leadership, they have these clashes until they put God aside and then, use their own ego issues, just to cause a split. And based on Romans chapter 16, verse 17, do you still hold on to that idea as always just egotistical issues and not more on doctrine? Like, do you think that there can actually be that reason? So it will be a training free as a move because and church should be I
think that most of the time we put aside the fact that grace exists, especially in the New Testament. And if there's any group of people who should be working out differences first to exhaust all options before resorting to Romans 16, 17, it should be Christians.
Thank you.
Because Romans 14 and 15, they all begin the same way. Also receive the weak. It's among Christians and our weak people. All of us, we came to Christ because we need him, because we are weak. Then cry. Like no matter how holy you become, you are still not
perfect.
You don't deserve the grace of God. Right. We have to understand that. Say, in the body of Christ, some will be stronger than others. There are other people that temptations can overtake them easily more than others. And if people reach a point where they have that lapse in judgment, where they think that, I think that this doctrine, we can bend it a little. That is a great teaching moment. In the body of Christ, we are brothers. Like in all the letters that Paul wrote to the churches, brothers, like we are family. But most of the time we don't see each other as family. You wanna say it's me against you. I did this, I did that. This is what I've contributed in the church, and therefore I have the authority. I should say, if I say that this brother should be out of the church, he should be out of the church because like you say.
Okay.
Do you know how the extent that God went to just to save humanity? He tried everything to the point where he had to give his own son.
Okay.
And he suffered in the most treacherous way.
All right.
You get it? Like we don't give each other that grace. That's why most people say in the Church of Christ, we don't talk about there's no grace. Like we live that, we just say you're relegating grace to the background, and we're just like, yeah, Bible needs to say, and we're just like attacking each other. We are attacking ourselves with the same word of God, where we can find grace and peace. Because if there's anything, Christ's purpose is to bring us to him. Not, we don't serve a God who is like, oh, why are you waiting to know? Like just because you said that you're out, no.
Yeah.
That's why one saved is not always saved. We have to constantly seek the grace of God and then ask him to be in our lives and draw us closer to him. And see, in the same way in the church, if somebody reaches a point where they are overtaken by temptation, or like the person has fallen, we have to try each and every way and ways and means to bring them back. We will find like 20 quotations where the person is wrong, and they are wrong. But that's why we should work to bring that person closer to the grace of God. And just say it drew the point where, like in Romans chapter 1, where it's like they have reached a point where God, they don't have any conscience. God, they are beyond repair. But we are not to decide that. Say we should help our brothers. Like the trees now. But you get it. So I mean, aside the Romans 16:17, no, there are so many things that we have to do.
Okay, so and I want Brother Seth to come in after we've exhausted all the things that we have to do, right? Maybe somebody's teaching something that is very diabolic. Let's say teaching something like our Ijaye, right? That's one of the treacherous teachings I've seen. Say ubia utimi jaya ware ekofafofro, right? Everyone say, Nipano, you've tried grace, you've tried brotherliness, you've tried reasoning with this person, and then they're still holding on to that particular doctrine. Because I think Romans chapter 6 verse 1 will say, what shall we say then? Shall we go on sinning so that grace may increase? Brother Seth, based on Winifred Akin up to this point, at what point can we say now we've exhausted everything that we have with regards to grace and everything, at this point we have to avoid these people?
Okay. Looking at what Winnie Kanu, we've exhausted everything. That is what he's teaching.
Right.
So in a church, this is the Church of Christ, and we don't run it as a one-man church. We have leadership. What is the work of that is why I think somebody said, is it Akwesi or somebody says when you are picking leaders, we should pick leaders who are able to teach.
Yeah.
It is one of the requirements to become an elder or a deacon. The person should be able to teach. So if one person, or a preacher, is doing that kind of teaching, the leadership must sit him down and tell him, say, Master, this is not what the Bible says. If not, then you give him the disfellowship, and you disfellowship the person not because in penasum, but it's a correctional something that we do. Then we bring the person back again for him to know, say, whatever he's doing, no, it is not right.
Yeah,
you get it. So you don't run it as Obini Chapel. Exhaust all. Also, what do you do? One person talks to him, two people, then a lot of. So we need to exhaust all our venues because it's one person who is teaching that. And if the leaders know are vested in the Bible, they will sit him down and then now discuss. This is what the Bible is saying. This is what you're also saying. So how do we marry the two?
Okay.
Then we can say, okay, now I won't try debut. We are not going due to this. We are not going to allow you to teach again because the church is not for you alone. The church is for Christ, and we are workers in the church. So if we see one person doing something which go contrary to what the Bible is saying now, then that is where the Romans come in. So we should avoid, but avoiding no. You are trying to let him know that what he's doing is not right.
Yes.
Therefore, it's a correctional way of saying, say, okay, now you are not teaching. I say you'll be disfellowship because, and you don't just disfellowship, you give the person reasons why he's being disfellowship from the flock because or best say asafuno, the church is for Christ, and also he doesn't want any blemish or anything filthy in his church. In the betraza or husband brasafuna, then you have to be a friend then sideline another one more the exit way. Then even that, they should have to still have to talk to you and teach you. The leaders now have to we a preacher crowd your mind class still you have to be taught because what you are teaching, it's not.
Okay.
Then we'll bring you back. That's what I would say.
But that's it. Daniel, no, actually, Fred. I don't know. Some Kaya, Tamani, old congregation, you know. There was this particular guy. I think they were Wushi Sage, and I don't want to mention his name. And the piano or cause controversy was sorry him. So one who nipa America were free mu. Yes. Or ba sorry bia question baby sano. It's like he is fighting against the teachings of the church, and this particular guy, is like ube 100 times or what because I think say kuma can you see a tuno as what tuno no on your confessions to Sunday be obeba sorry. Sadly, we say like what do you do to that person? Like on the Church of Christ for Nyajune, he doesn't believe said Church of Christ saves. He doesn't believe said Church of Christ is the only true church. He does sorry. So like that kind of person, how do we treat this person?
Well, sorry, I kind of missed out a lot of stuff that you guys said because I know it's a network or whatever. But, so you asking said, so be bem na on your dear. Like we talking, care about individual, and we are talking about like
we have to make the. We have to actually.
Because man, I don't think that individuals really cause split. They take stands.
Okay.
Individuals take stands.
Okay, we'll dealing with individual. And mama says our individual, or now we're dealing with the whole congregation. But we'll be under 1 minute, please, because you're bringing it.
So individual causes split.
No. Individual. Like he's also teaching falsehood or sama so for then he just want to confuse the other members.
Well, so we just don't give him the platform. It's as simple as that. You still feel like your doctrine or the doctrine, not our doctrine, but the doctrine of the Christ, you don't agree to it.
Okay.
This fellowship still not also by without doing confession. You just at this point, it has to cry now in a way. Some people may take it extreme. So okay, it's me. I'm a rap building, but then also it's me. As long as Uncle so harm, you just don't give him or had the platform to talk. You just me inside. You just ignore him. Oh okay. yeah. And that's the only way, because the platform no be normal. So just to convince other people towards his So for me, it's just as simple as you're two. While on your confession, you still don't believe what we believe in. Fine, but as to say a platform to even ask questions or whatever, I think that when it gets to a certain point, you just have to cut down opportunity. You don't give them the opportunity.
Okay, Obin, let's look at the whole Yemvan leadership, right? It's not an individual, but most Yemvan say, let's give an example. Say, sorry, right? And or Sempakeni ne church way. Leadership, and so let's say elders, and so a church be fufro, right? Which what the Yemvan say elders, they be brain, or more influence, is bigger than everyone's also for now. In that particular case, exhausted be also for now church. What can we say? Anything that we see and what church and Ukraine. What then should you do as Osempakeni and as sorry bakra individual person what then should you do?
Well, water said the can split. Even another Friday address is split and mawo individual and they are sorry as a whole. About they say easy. Say leadership none or some pakeni na doing a one. Obi biara odin church bone ban. It me too.
Yeah.
Easily. So obeba ye two and just say your town. But Bible they say your man who said a kuna woman a sombunti if you really want to be part of it. Ubano be a confession. Yeah, the boy for. But biara said verse 18 in Romans chapter 16 also. For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the heart of the simple. Obi wa betena sorry nim na underground wo tunkofo aso saa obohu anu wanya nipa dodo na afom de ha sorry na dwen. It is said when the cross here who is so sorry nim the leadership and the preacher must be one, and then we drive away this person. But here's the case, splitter is see what churches of Christ and sorry between the preacher and the leaders. A lot of times you see a good number of the leadership against the preacher. Why? If you are leadership ni munpukrani we nipa ba ba akwa na mienu bi a on a supported preacher. Not bear 5 any preacher. Such case in the assuring me to split it in a second, and it may split it. Now, whereby near about grace in this annual money man. A bedroom point to be because of the leadership no leader be the followers. Leader be when the followers in tea. Not a DDR for sorry no more, not a sorry no more check and it to her.
Yeah,
because leader crona or the following no more. And on also what doctrine be and now will be or person or promote and they against
or me I know, but this is very true because so Bekaya baby I near warfare no. There were like 3 different preachers, right? But to me say a preacher for me and saying no biawo
followers.
It's like a sect and as a yibi wo sofu we e wo nkofo a omo pe na asem sofu we on nti de wo kan no correct.
Into winning, and then I may come from the beginning. They say, Yenina Senka a bibia and your doctrina, and a be a way personal issue. And saying Yanko Point Church Lena. Say tension beba. This is where I break the two say. Say tension beba is good say. When you corona na group no mu feel say you better continue aye Nyankopon adwuma in a different area no. So mo konom ko ye Nyankopon asebia is the best. Why? Jacob and Esau. Amu nyina free afun kromu. But what situation is see situation is see a typical example say yet ya sorry mu and to kwesi when you AC ya try different people on be try some be resolve issue as always answer and split now a whole lot have gone by because at the say our here any our warrior easy but who person warrior it's a whole lot and I'll be go through. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult. And I quite remember say we bring in preachers from different places or more on betimi aba no money abeka asem but a bedroom point be no the ebeka bia no enye yi. In the Bible they say some keka mo keka mo ho a mo nhyehyɛ mo ho. Enti e drew that point no a I was say party A, party B, every back free ko no koye die nyakopon epe. Ebre ne so na se mo nyina you on the same course that friction will resolve. And that's exactly what happened between Esau and Jacob.
Okay, Stephen, I think it's Stephen Pastor Kabibi.
We are meeting just 30 seconds because I want to comment.
Yeah, give me a minute though. Give me a minute because like it's like it's tricky, right? So then another question, Mo. So let's say let's play your scenario. Said leader A, it will personal issue with leader B. So are you saying that said okay because leader A and B aren't able to kind of coincide again, then leader B should leave and go do his own thing?
No,
if it's based on doctrine.
If it's based on doctrine, but if it's based on personal, what should they do? I just want to understand.
Oh no. If it's personal, then you can't just.
Sometimes, William, this is what I'm saying. Say a personal issue, and I just issue be also between just two individual I'm trying to say leaders. Of course, we can settle the matter, but in this case, I'm making a whereby leadership more following. A leading from the leadership to the members. Could we say individual people and a group of people be who we are on Kasan create a big problem our congregation na Kasemu. In this situation, and your leadership back one now but a creative big division was already more attention was sorry now. When we say we do one more, ni pass message who no want to mean Kasan. That is the point that it reach here.
But my problem is that
cannot
let's say they split though. How does that still help those people that attend the church? Like, will they still not have a problem with each other? So will it be better that maybe a few leaders and they follow in, right?
And not to cut you short, but that is my next question.
But Kofi, can I comment
on
what
quick, though,
he's saying too? Because I have a comment.
I did it 30 seconds, and then we go on the emotional toll that it has on the church members or church. On the church,
we can get the emotional toll part, but my real question to that would be like, would it be better for them to split, or would it be better for them to step down from the leadership and not cause a division in the first place because they know that they're causing problems and issues to the congregation?
For the sake of the church, because
it's just like at this point, because I don't get along with him, then let's take our people, but then. That's also creating, based off that action alone, that's also creating the vision to the congregation. So wouldn't it be best for them to say, okay, it seems as if we can't solve our problem, so we're gonna step down. Other people can also lead as well. I didn't see
anything. Right. I know the is the best. What did I say? But we are talking about people and those people are willing. Those people are not willing even to step down.
Wait, why should they decide they won't step down? Because is that
hold on at a time.
Wait, do we all agree is the Church of Christ? It's not your church. Why?
Winnie, hold on. So I said, you might think is as simple as it is.
It's not simple.
If you have
it's not, but don't you agree? Say, but like, what's the purpose of the leadership? So the children of God. This is God's church. This is not for you. It's not about you.
Winnie, hold on. You probably haven't lived it, so you wouldn't know how,
if you haven't lived it, you wouldn't understand.
Let me come in. Let me say this.
But would Fred be able to talk though? Because I don't want to I know he's been waiting for a minute.
Okay, Fred. Okay, sorry.
Fred, I think that we're gonna go past our 45 minutes because right now we're headed.
That's one thing I was going to say, because this is a heat topic. We cannot just treat this topic with 5 panelists
It's
for
part
45 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
We gotta have 2 episodes or something.
All right, we're gonna hit an hour. We're gonna hit an hour to the call.
Okay, here's my point though. That's what I was saying from the get-go. Said most of the split that we see, is not doctrine based. Personal differences, number one, about 95%. Now here's the thing. Stephen was asking. Let's say me and you have our differences, whatever it was something not related to doctrine, and then it gets to a point. My boy to honor. So what is the preacher? Let's say something about drinking or dancing about. I realized being support to be what Walter is preaching, who's the preacher. Automatically, whether it's right or not, I have to be on the other side of the argument, because so the personal difference is oversee the doctrine itself when it comes to division and split. Nipa to me will be one same to the point say whatever the doctrine say, whatever the Bible say, and no cry the matter. What I really wanted to say was, when it comes to split, I think one thing that I've seen in the church right now is that preachers, yes, or being cast with division, or be the preachers or the leaders will be on the followers. That's where the issue is. We teachers. I'll even take the preachers. In the Bible, we see you heard your friend said Corinthians, the book of Corinthians, when say bisimi Paul dia, or bisimi Apollo dia. Now, the big thing is Paul, we all know what Paul did. He was good, learned and everything. Apollos, so called the book of Acts now. It tells you so it wasn't like we teach you no credit and we teach you, but here's the case I mean Paul instead of people to love the message and to love the person he's talking about, they fall in love with the person who's preaching. The same thing with Apollo. It's because when you need Christ or when you're God, it will get to a point in their Christian life, maybe because we love the person, then we take stands, and that's where the issues are in the church right now. So for me, Donna, like Ochadiesa, everyone's watch Chadiesa, isn't say many Ginia Mehono, the many Akojeno, Tibedru baby, so I can say it. The same thing, so Jamante is, so. That's what was happening in the church right now. We tend to love the messengers and not to. It's in the creative, even not even in the same church, in different churches. Church of Christ, Church of Christ, because you pay a soft nursing. The doctrine be too on. You bet me in a Church of Christ preachers, about 10 of them speaking the same thing. I mean, not the same thing, different things. Wow, they not think the way can in your power, but because we are so for then we tend to go with that. So that division is being created by the preachers and the leaders. Those are the big. Excuse me.
I mean, but it's not their fault that your emotional attachment to be somebody. It's not the preacher's fault that the members.
But the point is not their fault. But that's when Paul added to it when Ocasio was say, and my church if we are 10 around bar, now maybe catch them regardless your love for me. So Paul was making emphasis on the words. They said, "Madame, who baby ma." Now say maybe can be before fracture. Make catch you. Yeah, you shouldn't even believe me, regardless how much you love me. So we a preacher, also say we nipa a bedroom baby like we need be answering be, and that's why so who will be attaching to it, attaching to you so much, and then so what addresses are there and say bedroom baby.
Exactly.
I agree.
And the last point is that the church is also compared as the government. You know how almost every democratic they have the executive, they have the judicial now, but how more Senate or whatever. The preacher is standing one office, the leadership is standing one office, and the congregation. So we have to check each other. The leaders and the preachers are checking on us. is the congregations no. Yes, now see a checky leaders, no, see a checky preachers, no. And that's one thing now no. Oko congregation, but question could be musebi. And the people who even ask questions, they are tagged in a certain way. So now, if a preacher is teaching something wrong, how am I supposed to question the person?
And Paul basically recommended the Berean church say, "Omono near Paul Bekachro Omono." So I like the emphasis on the separation of powers, which is the church has a responsibility to check what the preachers and elders are teaching. The elders have to check the preacher. The preacher has to check the whole congregation and the elders. And I think that if it is like that, then and also emphasize and say the word of God is superseding everybody. And you be and I say can also say, because I thought that the mistake you're making is that we tend to think say leadership and I say I saw for the mistake. They can depend on their feelings to teach. I thought that I can be so as a church, most then more king kind word say I confirm was near so for kind no cry. And you can see a cry right now. We've hit like an hour and 4 minutes, and I don't want us to. Okay, 20 seconds.
I think the problem is elders. So for matter that you can't change them.
Yeah.
But with the committee system, congregations that have been to every year, the committees are changed. They dissolve it. The members select new leaders. So it's not a static leadership. Say every year, if elders are different, but if it's this committee system that we are having, one person cannot say I'm not stepping down. No way. The church is not for you. Every year the preacher we are picking new leaders. That is where is it in Acts? They pick how many 7 people and they prayed for them. The whole church fasted and then they prayed and they selected 7 people. That is where we got the committee system from. And that is what we use. And you can't say I am doing there for like 10 years. Me a leader. So that church is not for you.
It happens. It can happen.
Yes, I was.
What if that? I said,
yeah.
Said
speak at microphone.
Okay. Saying tears, said, besum nyame, you want tears yet, said you want you said you walk here. And get up somewhere. What I say? But if you haven't known or you haven't seen some people, so obi to me catch that who preach and say walk around where do away and you would imagine how free walk around.
I make us say the problem is the individual. The church is not for you. And it's a committee system. When you're elder, that is the mistake I think people are making. Hey, yes.
We feel said maybe he was part of the people who started the church and started that congregation. Maybe you feel say was spend this car sorry no. Enti baby Adru I was said so we can some na enya biblical pokura na ye nintu.
Used to reap the benefits.
I said yeah. When the pakro no the found say we preacher, the found say we regular member. Wono what some doesn't hold. And the point I Kenya in terms of split in say. Ye any penny a what when ye suba you know what you are sorry. Say could you point to be now sorry ye try all means. Ni intimate na mumwa. Then what should we do? Do we have to stay there? Not the BS problem no. Listen, we have
it's not about that's not the solution the Bible gave. That's kind of like easy way out. The Bible they say if there you put on a conconsa the Bible gives us a nipa no see in free not necessarily say you are a leader.
Fred,
this now. You are the person who have to go. I understand it. I've been there.
Okay. Let's be real, Daniel. What are you gonna say?
Let's be real.
Okay.
That what now? Sorry, split. ABC woman and now twice. Okay, number one. When you get to a point where say problem with preacher, now your congregation any leadership, who say this preacher is bringing a problem to this church. Easy say bit me I'm a preacher nako. And yan talk we can give him a letter, we can say we can work with you. Not okay. But whereby problem no is between the preacher and the leaders, or there's a misunderstanding be an air course between the preachers and the leaders, and the dear sorry man and I sorry man mum there's friction, big friction and air course between certain groups of people.
Obey. I understand.
If you time out, what is the solution?
Yeah, man, that's all.
Hold on.
Then you have to visit this topic again. We definitely have to visit it again one time.
The recent split now in the experience and Mami Kasem Chiro. SAM my problem now as I said is bigger than what it really is, because yes, almost personal differences. But let's be honest, the kind of things that we were arguing or fighting about in the recent split, no, we had a preacher, a whole preacher, by MOB Busan said, what is your opinion about drinking? Couldn't hit the nail. No, I didn't know home. All the preachers, nobody was able to look at A's face and be like, how you're wrong. B's face, how you're wrong. How you're wrong. None of them. We have more than 3 preachers from different locations. So it's yes, these people will be this, these people will be that. But Obian Hotimi show Bien catch up and say, let's be honest. Obi Busa preacher,
Fred,
come on,
Fred, I understand.
Of the congregation. It's
Obi said drinking your body no today.
Hold on. Obi Busa said, Obi Oyashor Penny, Oton Sao you say, what is your near Busa whole preacher? What is your opinion about that? Going around in circles. Couldn't hit it. The preachers who came to address the issue now, Kasano. I would say in a way, no, they will either God forbid, God forgive me. No, either saw me a coward. And I said they couldn't really they didn't have it in them to tell this person say, you're wrong, or being how you're wrong, said how you're wrong. This person is right here. They couldn't do that. And that was what contributed most of them.
Oh.
Division right there.
We need to do my system now.
Checks and balances.
That was nothing like
that. Fred, I somehow kind of the end of correct. Oh, but with him, I did back where I was here when he said, Nipano or the cat nothing read no qua. Not a sorry man. Yankasi Yan fine near Juma.
And
that's not problem. That's what
we have to end here.
Okay.
We have other, I even wanted us to talk about the emotional tolls it has on the churches, because I remember
we can still talk about it.
No, we have to talk about another topic. Maybe per se, especially with the emotional toll, it was really bad, because we'll be out in that for a longer time. Then after I say they are your enemy. Exactly. Then there's this awkwardness and I mean, as they say, time heals everything, though, because right now the things have gotten better. We've been able to. It sounds like it is something you can't solve, but right now, that both churches have sat together, addressed the differences.
They have
done that. Have they been able to bring back the youth that left the church as a result of the split?
No, it hasn't, because I remember in our old church,
account for that.
I really wish Eben was here to even discuss that, because Eben can attest to the facts that most of the youth that were there, they don't come anymore. So I say we have somebody like Angelina Mame. And they, like a lot of people, they stop going to the church.
Water. Maybe one more. Maybe we can discuss it now. But I did one more. Obia obe pen kwaji first of all, it all baffle from the GD moha. Se bibi say sia congregation no me no nyina say am passe nyina ye dwene say ye be ya akra twetwe ho adwuma. One of these congregations should take it upon themselves see a bit too sank for one. See, Anya, that's where Yankupon hold you accountable.
Right.
But when it comes to split, if it is for a good cause, I don't disagree.
Okay.
It depends what the good cause is.
All right, this topic was very heated, and I mean is a huge.
Maybe down the line, anymore. We have to bring back this topic.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we have to revisit this.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about this in terms of this topic.
Yeah, you know, next time we definitely will talk about this. But and then the way you see has say, Isaac and Timmy and Johnny, and hopefully the next 2 episodes, you know, they're gonna be a part of it. Not yet to me, I discuss it. You know, like we can all share our opinions on these topics. It's Madam Wase, you know, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being able to join us today. I know say Nipa Ubi busy, Stephen I busy, Isaac, you know, I am the same when you joining. Yedi busy has say.